Alrighty. My name's Steve Aldrich. I've been a CA since Fund 1, and I thought I would go through and actually do a recording of how I go about doing an assessment on a proposal. Anyhow, the first thing I want to say is I'm on this website, which is the community website, and utilizing the CA tool, which suggests proposals that have a low amount of assessments done already. This is a way that we can kind of concentrate our efforts on proposals that really need to be assessed still. Now, I happen to have a proposal in the Catalyst value onboarding, and I want to remove that so that I don't get any proposals to assess in that challenge, because that's one of the limitations. So now that I've cleared that out, I can come down here to the bottom and say suggest proposal. And this one we are going to skip. We're going to say, hey, give us another, because it's actually being removed. DARP Cardano Address Naming Service. Oh, lovely. All right, so I want to go ahead and review this one. So the name is right here. We know that it's in the Atala Prism Did Mass Scale Adoption Challenge, and we can click here and say Open Challenge Brief. Let's see if I do that. Yeah, it just gives us the brief in a pop-up, so we can quickly see, what is expected to be found as far as proposals are concerned within this challenge. So why is it important here? Let's look at the key metrics. We should be looking for a number of proposals that directly address the did use cases. So we want to be sure that we're looking for, does this one give us use cases in a quantifiable manner? These are actually the metrics for the brief, but it gives us kind of a feeling of what we should be looking for within the proposals as well. So we'll go ahead and close this, click the little X, and now we can go ahead and say go to proposal. And please remind me if I forget, once I'm done doing this assessment, I've got to come back here and click proposal reviewed and answer the questions so that, that'll track. Anyhow, go to proposal. It opens up in cardano.ideascale.com, and here we are. And we can see that this proposal was proposed by Phil Lewis. Now, if we want, we can dig in here. We can click on his name. We can go and see, what he's said, what definitions apply to him. Ideas contributed. There are 14 of them here, and so we can see that he's been really active within the Catalyst community. So, and some of these he's actually partnered up with folks. We got several people in some of these. So anyhow, that's good. We'll go ahead and close this tab and come back to here. All right, so the challenge and the name are here, and then we've got the problem statement. Developers and users need easy access to use addresses in dApps and wallets for user experience and back-end integration, e.g. smart contracts and NFT data. And then we can read the solution here. The Decentralized Address Resolution Protocol, DARP, builds on Atala Prism's foundations to allow easy to remember address names to be used. Relevant experience. This is Phil's experience, over 20 years building large-scale software platforms, and you can review his experience at LinkedIn. Now, this is important that that Phil has gone ahead and said, "Hey, let's let people check into me and see if I'm a credible person to be founded or funded." So we could go ahead and click his LinkedIn proposal, and we can read, or LinkedIn account, and we can see all about Phil. So that's awesome. And then now we get down into the details. So he's also got a website. My goodness, let's check this out. Look at this. Okay, decentralized. So he's got a website that he's built. This is actually a Git book. So we can go through all of this. You know, there's an introduction, there's foundations. Now we'll probably come back to some of this as we're going through the actual assessment. But this is lovely to see that we've got pretty deep documentation already put together here. So, detailed plan. Which of the following, oh my goodness. Oh, which of the following sample addresses would be easier to use when interacting with dApps or wallets? Oh man, this had me confused. But this is actually pretty cool the way that he's gone about this. Is this address easy to use? Or is this one? Well, that's pretty simple. Wallet and dApp providers will adopt the DARP protocol. Adopt the DARP protocol can give their end users better experience, as they'll be able to use easy to remember address names instead of long and complex strings for characters. Developers can also use DARP to simplify changes to smart contract addresses without needing to deploy a full update to their applications. How does this work? The DID standard defined by W3C, on which Atala Prism is built, provides a service property, and here's a link where we could go and dig into that allows the owner of a DID to refer those they want to interact with to information that may be of use in communicating with them. This is specified using the service endpoint attribute that can be a URL, a message service, or other communications protocols. So the DARP protocol will use this service feature to leverage the use of DIDs being made available through Atala Prism to allow the owner of the human readable address, e.g. alice.address, to refer others to a resolution document which maps their human readable address to complex addresses such as Cardano wallet address. For those who would like more technical overview, please review the documentation and here we've been there. So how does this service drive mass scale adoption? So here, Phil's going ahead and given us a real good way of knowing, hey, is this actually answering the proposals or the challenges, the challenge within the challenge that he's in here for DID mass scale adoption. This kind of service is something that many users of Cardano or any other blockchain would find useful, be it developers building dApps or end users wanting to interact with dApps or simply transfer tokens. By providing this service as an extension of the underlying capabilities of DIDs, it introduces people to Atala Prism before there are other identity solutions that may be of use to them. This will grow the adoption of Atala Prism, allowing other identity solutions for future applications easier to introduce, and as many users will already be onboarded with a DID. Similar services like Ethereum name service or unstoppable domains already exist. Why build an alternative on Cardano? In addition to being built on aging technology with scaling problems, existing services also use smart contracts to store address information on the blockchain. While this does decentralize the name resolution service, it unnecessarily adds bloat to the blockchain with data that doesn't necessarily need to be immutable. These services can also become costly through the use of gas. So he's kind of laying out the use case and the reasoning why. Why not use these other things that already exist? The philosophy of Cardano in building a third generation blockchain solution is that it improves on the way for other blockchain the way that other blockchains have done things in the past. This is the same philosophy being used by DARP. to utilize the same benefits that earlier service implementations provided, but without the shortcomings they experience. Okay, so now we're going to get into deliverables. The requested funds will be used as follows. Now this is good. Come on, tell me what you're going to do, then tell me where you're going to spend the money, and tie it all together. So develop all capabilities of a decentralized address name registrar, as described in the documentation, which will allow users to register a DID to DID document, allow users to register an address name, allow users to edit and store their address resolver document, described in the documentation, issue a verifiable credential for the registered address name, allow users to update their DID with the service endpoint of their address resolver document. So that's, we're developing all capabilities within the documentation. And then we're test querying the registry, verifying address name ownership and resolving an address using the ARD. That's the address resolver document. Document the DARP protocol and how developers can build support for this, for its use in their applications. So here we're finding out that this is actually an open source, hey, anybody can use this. Make code used to develop the centralized address open service so others, e.g. stake pools, can provide the name service, the same service. Timeframes. Work is expected to be completed within 4 to 6 months, subject to the completion of support for decentralized identity artifacts, DID documents, verifiable credential template, DID resolution, etc. on Cardano following the release of Atala Prism. So this here, when I'm reading something like this, I'm saying, so when is Atala Prism going to be released? And how much of this work can be accomplished prior to its release? So could we move 2 or 3 months into the development process and still be work ongoing, or are we basically on hold here until Atala Prism is released, and then we're 4 to 6 months out? So this is an important consideration as we're thinking about risk for this project within the assessment. And then he has the idea for DARP was discussed in an interview with Rick on Cardano Live. Well, that's cool. So Phil went on Cardano Live with Rick McCracken and talked about this DARP concept. Requested funds in USD, 47,500, and then all the different I forget what we call this, but anyway, the things that he's professing, that he's taking care of. He does get emails from communications at iohk.io. He submitted the proposal only in one challenge, and included identification information for the proposers and all of these different things. And then he's also defined a 3, 6, and 12 month time frame. What success looks like in those time frames. Now, I'm not seeing that he has done that. What does success look like? Maybe that's over in the docs. Let's take a quick look. And some of this, I'm just pre-checking as I'm reading through it. Hey, are these things actually there? So decentralized identity and purpose, trusting, verifying, purpose, verified address name registry. And I'm just not seeing it where he has in fact identified this portion right here, and then broken down the budget requirements. Yeah, so what he said here is, these are the deliverables. This is what the requested funds will be used for. I don't know that we've actually seen where he's identified, hey, of the 47.5 that I'm asking for, we're going to spend, X number of dollars here on this part and X number of dollars on this part. So now we get into a risk of how do we judge the progress over the months. We're saying 4 to 6 months this is going to take. How do we know how much is completed and what he expected to be completed? Is this the bigger part or is this the bigger part? Projects are broken into a work breakdown structure, and you figure out where the bulk of the work is going to be, or what parts of it are bigger than others. So anyway, this is going to be a little difficult to answer this part of the auditability questions within the assessment. Let's see what else we've got here. So this is just the same document. All right, so I always like to take a look at the comments and make sure that that the proposer did respond to all of the comments. Why? Okay, so this fella is saying, hey, why do you need DIDs for this? Can layer 1 public keys suffice for DNS type system similar to ENS? And here Phil has come back. Thanks for your interest. I'll be providing more details over the coming week. Okay, so this is an important point here. As we take a look at these proposals and the comments, it's good to recognize that this comment was made on the 25th of August, and I can't remember. See, that's on day 1, just after Phil had entered it. So 10 a.m. on the 25th, and this is 5 hours later on the 25th, and so it's reasonable. Phil's saying, hey, I'm still going to add more information. I'm only 5 hours in here, and here's different ways you can get a hold of me. And here's, oh, by the way, here's another example of this approach. And well, there go my dogs. Then we get a little back and forth here between Payman and Phil, and so anyway, check out my proposal and distributed. So okay, so there's some back and forth going on here, and then so Payman actually spent a great deal of time, in this 2-day period, the 25th and 26th, in taking a look at this and engaging with Phil on these different questions. Looks like, hey, thanks for explaining this to me. So it looks like we're making progress here, and Payman's feeling a little bit better about the interaction here. We get another one here on the 30th, so now we're 5 days. So this is the first week in being able to put in the proposal. So it's this is interesting, not only for Cardano but for other addresses. Anyway, so we'll read through these. My primary reason for wanting to take a look at these is, hey, are the questions pointing out some weakness or maybe a strength within this project? And then has the proposer come back and actually responded to all of these questions? And are the responses actually viable? So another way to engage in discussions about proposals, check out. Okay, so he's saying, hey, go to the Catalyst Discord server. Thanks for that, Phil. We always like to see folks come into the Discord server. So then, sure, I'd be interested to collaborate in this project. I'll contact you in Telegram. So anyway, so there's some back and forth here. Not a lot of comments made on this. and those that were brought up. Some of them were a little, hey, why are we doing this? And looks like over the course of a couple of days, Phil was able to add enough information in here to where that payment and he came to some sort of resolution. So this is good. And I'm not going to bore you with all the nitty gritty details of what went on. One thing I do want to point out is that you do not want to use this little button here that says assess. I know that we're assessing right now, but this is an artifact from idea scale, and there are a lot of things that we just can't do anything about. So to do the assessment, you want to be on the activity tab, and you click on there, and then you can see right here, here's okay, we're going to get into the assessment. So the way that this works is we just click the number of stars in answering this question. So the proposal effectively addresses the challenge, and 1 is a strongly disagree, 2 is just disagree, 3 is I don't agree or disagree. It's kind of I'm nonplussed here. And then agree or strongly agree. So this is our settings, and the question is, does this proposal effectively address the challenge? And the challenge again is to increase mass scale adoption for Atala Prism. So the question that I have to answer here is, do I agree that this challenge or this proposal, which is actually saying, hey, let's come up with a simple to use address, and we're going to build this on top of a part of the Atala Prism protocols. Well, it seems like that this then does actually answer the challenge. So then I'm going to add a note. Now, please ignore this NA checkbox here. This is, again, another artifact. I think those are the only two I'm going to talk about today within the idea scale interface. So anyway, just leave this box alone. It doesn't mean anything to us. So we're going to click here on Add Assessment Note. And I always like to drag this down and give myself a little more room. Unfortunately, whatever you type in here, if you try and make it structured like I tend to, when it gets saved, it just takes out all the carriage returns. It takes out all of the formatting that you might put into here. So I do it so that I can keep track of what it is that I've said. And then anyway, it's not ideal. Okay, so I want to make a comment, give the rationale for why I gave this proposal 5 stars. Why am I saying I strongly agree and that this thing should have 5 stars? So first off, I'm going to start off by saying that the proposal utilizes Atala Prism capacities and will increase adoption without the end user needing to even know about Atala. That's Atala Prism. Okay, and why am I saying this? Because if we're actually doing all this stuff on the back end and we're utilizing parts of Atala Prism, through some sort of interface where we're just saying, hey, okay, identify the name and all of that, and it all gets written into the documents in the back end, written to the chain, then the person doesn't have to know anything about that Atala Prism is being used here. So will it increase adoption? You betcha. Where this really takes on some wheels is in the developer community, especially when you consider that developers will definitely know about the Atala connections here. Okay, now I'm just blowing through this. It probably would take a little more time and actually think about my words a little bit more and be a little more get a little more definition. Like I would come up here and I would grab this part where he's talking about why we're using this service feature, right? So yeah. Anyway, it's a part of the did standard service feature, right? Connections to the did standard service features. All right, and then click Save Note. Now, I can always come back and edit my stars, and I can click this little pencil here, and I can edit what I've written. And I told you that it takes out all the line breaks. It actually it doesn't at this point. You can still see your line breaks. Okay, so that's that part. Now, given the experience and plan presented, is it highly likely this proposal will be implemented successfully? So the plan presented is good. We know how the funds are going to be used. We know the different parts of it and what's going to happen in step 1, 2, 3, 4, and we know that we're looking at 4 to 6 months. Now, would I call this a development plan? It's a little light for that. I would love to see a little more definition of how much time, effort, funding for each one of these sections is being allotted. In other words, help me understand where this number came from. Or did you just pull this number out? Is this a verifiable number where we know what parts of this, $20,000 is going here, and $7,000 is going here, and that kind of a thing. So I'm going to say that given the experience, yeah, Phil's got the experience, and plan presented, it's highly likely. I'm going to say that I agree, but I'm not strongly agreeing. And then I want to make sure that in my note I explain how Phil could make this better so that it would get a 5. All right, so I want to be sure and say I would like to see the WBS work breakdown structure and funding / effort for high level sections or pieces of the plan. If this info were provided, I could have given this 5 stars. That being said, Phil is a long-term community member and a known entity to many. The risk associated with the lack of a more of a better defined WBS and cost estimate. Fix this right here. Risk associated with the lack of better defined WBS and cost estimate is minimal in my opinion. Okay. So this is a little bit of a narrative. I'm being a little, I'm narrating this a little bit more than maybe some would, but I want the voter to be able to read this and say, hey, you know, this got a 4 here. Why did it get a 4 instead of a 5? And what would have made it better? And what's the risk involved here? So anyway, we'll save this note. All right, so then the information is sufficient to audit and the progress and the success of the proposal. This I don't agree or disagree with, and that's actually part of up here, you know. And this, you will tend to get a little where these kind of cross over into one another. It's unfortunate that we're asking about experience and plan in this section here, and then down here the information provided is sufficient to because the information provided is the plan. So these two things kind of meld together. We're doing a little Vulcan mind meld here between these two. So here I'm going to say, here, let's stretch this out some. I'm going to say there is plenty of information provided, but the plan lacks detail to assure that work done can be audited against planned costs and effort. All right, now while I'm writing this, I'm thinking, well, heck, you know, maybe some of that information is over here in the docs. So let's go take a look. We've got foundations. We're not seeing. Okay, so we've got plenty of links in here. This is why decentralized, and then resolver documents, purpose, trusting, verifying. Okay, I'm just not seeing anything here that gives me, wait a minute, didn't we see something about a GitHub repository? Did we see that? Was it in the comments? Give me just a second, folks. I'm sorry. This is, boy, you'd think I was more, well, why would I be more prepared? This is the first time I'm looking at this proposal. So, man, I can tell you, it's not uncommon to spend an hour. And some of these that are really, really, really technical, you know, you can spend considerably more than an hour. All right, so let's go over to comments here because I thought I saw GitHub. That's idea scale. Where here we go. Another example of this approach is okay, so that's GitHub, but this is not Phil's. Boy, okay, maybe that was it. Maybe I don't see, there isn't a GitHub for Phil listed. Come on. No. Discord channel. All right. I wonder if I should, yeah, no. All right. So then that being the case, we don't have a GitHub, so let's come back over to activity. All right, there's plenty of information provided. An auditor will be asking about where the funds will be or have gone in order to release the funds over the following, over the development timeline. Info was provided up front in the proposal. Okay, so now I can tell you that as I'm writing this, I'm wondering, oh boy, so you know when the proposer, in this case Phil, reads this, because he will read my comments and he'll have a chance to flag it. So have I been harsh here? Am I just being a big blue meanie, which I have a tendency to be? Ask my wife. So heck, my shirt's even blue. So anyway, I want to just re-look at this and make certain that I can. Do I need to soften this? Do I need to find some other way to say what I'm saying? Why I can't even agree with this statement that the information provided is sufficient to audit progress. So, I mean, if the answer is no, then am I okay saying I neither agree or disagree? So how do I resolve this? How do I say, well, yeah, you know, I would love to see more detail. There isn't a whole lot of detail about auditing the progress, but can we say that he's actually provided us kind of a plan of the deliverables? He's saying, you know, first I'm going to do this, and it's broken into these different sections, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this. So basically, you know, if what would answer my whole reason for not giving an agree or strongly agree with this is that he hasn't given me a good idea of the work effort in each of these. Now I could guess at it, but I shouldn't have to, I guess is what I'm saying. So let's come down here and kind of add that. The proposal does give us a list of activities, but lacks the effort, definition of effort for each of the 4 sections. Alrighty, so I think I'm going to call that good. Now I may come back and revisit this one because I'm just not quite happy with it. But for the purposes of this video, I just wanted to give you, you know, kind of my thought process as I'm going through these, and then I guess I want to give you an idea that, hey, it's okay to be wavering back and forth as you're answering these questions. You know, finally you've got to come down to an answer, but the truth of the matter is it's not always cut and dried. Sometimes you've got to really think long and hard about these things in order to give the community good advice, the voting community good advice, and give direction to the proposers so that should they not be funded this time around, that they could make the proposal better and come back next time and actually be funded. So that's kind of where I'm at now. Once you've done that and you've got all of the stars are showing and all of them have rationale for why you voted the way that you did or rated this the way that you did, assessed it the way you did, there is no need to click this next button. That this is all already saved, and the next button just moves you to the next proposal in the list, however idea scale determines who's next. It's probably according to this numbering schema up here. In any case, so that's it for that. Now I do want to come back to the CA tool, and I want to say, hey, yeah, I reviewed this proposal. And that's going to say, hey, there's a checklist to ask you some questions. Did you do this? All right. So the problem statement, so we're saying, hey, I did check this. The problem statement defines a problem within the challenge. Yep, sure does. The proposal has positive impact on the Cardano ecosystem. Heck yeah, I think so. The proposer's team has relevant experience or references. Yep, sure enough. There is a detailed implemented plan. Well, yeah, I checked that and made comments about that. So I'm going to check yes. All right. The budget is understandable and reasonable. Well, I don't know. But I did check it. So maybe I want to go back and I want to say something about the budget being understandable and reasonable in my responses. But yeah, I mean, we did look at this. Metrics and KPIs are presented and make sense. Did we actually have KPI here? So what are we looking for? What are we looking for? Oh, and also we do want to say something about the release of Atala Prism being a risk. Now, did I do that? Increase adoption of Atala Prism. Definitely. Okay, so effectively addresses. Yeah, okay. So plan highly likely proposal be successful. I want to in here list this risk. There is a risk in that we do not have a release date for Atala Prism or the Pioneer program. So it is hard to know when this proposal could get underway. All right, save that note, come back here. So you can see how these questions are really excellent and help us to really, answer the questions. Yeah, I didn't put that in yet either. And the community can track progress of this proposal. Well, that's, I checked it and I made comments about it. Okay, so confirm. I wonder how they're actually using this. Is this, I need to ask how this is utilized. Man, maybe I shouldn't be checking these as statements of fact. Is that what they are? They're statements of fact, or are they statements of I looked at it and made comments about it? I'm going to take it that way. Checklist is designed to help you provide better. It is not mandatory, however, you're using it. It'll give you an indication of how well you applied the guidelines. Okay, so yeah, it's all about me. Okay, cool. Confirm assessed. All right, and then, unless you're using Brave like me, We've got assessed proposals, 1 of 713 it lists. Brave does not, if I close Brave, it kills all those cookies. So I always start off at 0. So then, once we're done here, we click Give Me Another. Bring it. All right, that's it, kids. Thanks a bunch. Bye.